the invisible empire. In the quiet suburbs of Stuttgart, an elderly man walked his dog every morning. Neighbors greeted him politely. No one suspected that he was the local liaison for a Calabrian 'Ndrangheta cell, one of the most dangerous mafia organizations in the world. Germany is a country known for law, order, and efficiency. Yet beneath this well-managed surface operates a billion-euro criminal empire. The German Mafia isn't one single family like the Sicilian Cosa Nostra. It's a web of foreign and local clans, Italian, Turkish, Russian, Balkan, even native German, who cooperate in the shadows. Why is Germany such fertile ground for organized crime? One answer: nobody's watching. Unlike Italy, Germany has no specific anti-mafia law. That means membership in a mafia-like organization is not a crime in itself. German authorities often have to wait until violence occurs or money laundering can be proven before they act. Meanwhile, mafia networks thrive. The money machine. Forget the image of flashy drug dealers and bloody gunfights. The German mafia doesn't need street-level chaos to be effective. They work in real estate, restaurants, nightclubs, construction, and waste management. Their real weapon? Money laundering. Take Berlin. After the fall of the Berlin Wall, entire neighborhoods were up for grabs. Mafia families, especially from southern Italy and the Balkans, flooded the area with dirty cash. They bought buildings, ran bars, opened shisha lounges, and turned the city into a laundering paradise. A single cash-based business like an ice cream shop or pizzeria can clean hundreds of thousands of euros. The trick is simple: they report fake sales, pay taxes on them, and voila, the money is legal. A 2021 Europol report stated that more than 100 billion euros is laundered in Germany annually, much of it tied to criminal syndicates. Why they're hard to catch? You'd think with all that money, the German government would crack down hard. But here's the twist: they often don't know who to arrest. Mafia members in Germany don't walk around in flashy suits with pinky rings. They don't leave bloody messages or hang out in suspicious social clubs. Instead, they blend in. Their businesses look clean. Their books are in order. Their names are often buried behind shell companies in Luxembourg or Cyprus. Even when the police do suspect something, they hit a legal wall. Under German law, it's not illegal to be part of a mafia unless you commit a provable crime. Just being connected to the 'Ndrangheta? Not enough. This legal gray zone makes Germany a safe haven, especially for Italian mafiosi avoiding arrest back home. They relocate their families, set up shop, and enjoy the benefits of the EU's open borders. The silent giant. The most powerful mafia group in Germany is not German at all. It's the 'Ndrangheta, based in Calabria, Italy. Unlike the flashy Sicilian mafia, the 'Ndrangheta is family-based, blood-bound, and terrifyingly loyal. They control over 80% of Europe's cocaine trade and have deep roots in German cities like Duisburg, Munich, and Mannheim. The infamous Duisburg massacre of 2007 was a turning point. 6 men were gunned down outside a pizzeria in western Germany, a mafia hit linked to a feud between 'Ndrangheta families. For many Germans, it was the first time they realized the mafia was operating in their backyard. But even after that brutal incident, very little changed. Surveillance increased. A few arrests were made. But the structure stayed. And it grew. Why? Because the 'Ndrangheta doesn't need violence to thrive in Germany. They just need contracts, lawyers, real estate, and banks. Turkish and Balkan connections. The German mafia scene is not only Italian. Turkish gangs have long operated in Berlin and Hamburg, often controlling the heroin trade. Albanian and Serbian syndicates bring in weapons, run human trafficking routes, and control parts of the nightlife scene. Sometimes they clash. But often, they cooperate. In Frankfurt, a nightclub was found to be co-owned by a Turkish heroin dealer and an Albanian loan shark, both of whom were laundering money for Italian bosses. This kind of cooperation makes law enforcement's job nearly impossible. Different languages, codes, and loyalties intertwine, creating a fluid, multicultural criminal ecosystem that no one agency can fully track. A historical blind spot. Germany's soft touch on organized crime has deep roots. After World War II, the country focused on rebuilding. Its justice system was centered on rehabilitation, not punishment. Unlike Italy, which had decades of anti-mafia battles, Germany didn't view organized crime as a national threat. Even as Italian authorities warned their German counterparts about incoming mafiosi, the Germans hesitated. They didn't want to be seen as xenophobic or paranoid. And so, the syndicates grew quietly. By the 1990s, entire districts in cities like Cologne and Stuttgart were subtly under mafia control. Not through violence, but through economic domination. The cocaine corridor. One of the most lucrative aspects of the German mafia's operations is drug trafficking. Especially cocaine. The logistics are brilliant. The cocaine comes by ship from South America to Rotterdam and Antwerp, Europe's busiest ports. From there, it moves by truck into Germany. Some estimates say Germany is now the second largest cocaine market in Europe, just behind the UK. The Ndrangheta owns much of the supply. The Albanians move it inland. Local German contacts distribute it. The money flows back through shell companies, real estate purchases, and crypto investments. Each transaction is legal on paper. But the source? Bloody and buried. The freezer murder. In 2014, police raided a Turkish-owned meat distribution company outside Frankfurt. What they expected to find was tax fraud or undeclared labor. What they actually found was a body in the freezer, hidden among the crates. The murder had been ordered by a Balkan gang leader over an unpaid cocaine debt. The building was owned by a shell company traced back to Calabria, Italy. This gruesome discovery blew open a chain of connections, from small-town Germany to the cocaine jungles of Colombia. What shocked investigators most was how normal everything appeared on the surface. There were invoices, bank statements, tax returns, all perfectly in order. The violence, the drugs, the trafficking, all hidden behind bureaucratic perfection. Follow the money. German mafia groups are not always involved in direct violence. Instead, they invest. They use corrupt accountants and lawyers. They open Bitcoin exchanges in Eastern Europe. They purchase apartment blocks in Leipzig and Dresden, where property is cheap. They funnel money through chain restaurants or import-export businesses. Sometimes, they even operate legally, buying distressed companies, flipping real estate, or investing in local events. A 2020 investigation showed that over 50 million euros in mafia money had been funneled into German real estate, much of it via trusted intermediaries with clean records. The key players? Often middle-aged men in suits who've never seen a prison cell. The days of violent dons are fading. Today's mafia is corporate. Europe's crime highway. Germany's central location makes it the hub of European organized crime. From the south, drugs arrive from Italy and the Balkans. From the east, weapons flow in from Ukraine and the Caucasus. From the north, Scandinavian gangs bring synthetic drugs. And from the west, money laundering routes crisscross France and the Netherlands. Germany is the junction where all of these streams meet. Its excellent roads, modern banks, and loose anti-mafia laws make it ideal. Even more ironic? Many criminals love Germany for its safety. They can conduct meetings in nice restaurants without fearing shootouts or surprise arrests. For mafia figures from Eastern Europe, Germany is like Switzerland, but with better logistics. The failed state within a state.
In cities like Essen, Duisburg, and Hanover, there are neighborhoods locals quietly avoid after dark.
Not because they're obviously dangerous, but because everyone knows who runs them. In some areas, mafia-linked families handle local disputes, loan money, and offer protection, all without police interference. These zones function like parallel systems of order, where state law exists in theory, but street law rules in practice. Police officers admit, off record, that they often don't patrol certain areas unless necessary. Not because they're afraid, but because there's a fragile balance they don't want to disrupt. This is how mafias thrive, not by open war, but by silent replacement of authority. Why it's hard to talk about. There's another reason the German mafia remains invisible: politics. No politician wants to admit that organized crime has flourished under their watch. And since most mafia violence happens elsewhere, there's little pressure to act. Even worse, accusations of mafia activity often involve immigrant communities, leading to accusations of racism or xenophobia. As a result, investigations get delayed. Reports get softened. And networks grow. A former prosecutor in Munich put it bluntly. In Italy, a police raid is seen as strength. In Germany, it's seen as failure. That's the difference. The case that could have changed everything. In 2018, authorities arrested dozens of people in a joint Europol-Interpol operation called Operation Polino. It was one of the biggest anti-mafia stings in German history. The network spanned Italy, Germany, Belgium, and the Netherlands. They seized properties, froze bank accounts, and uncovered massive money laundering chains. But in Germany? Many of the accused walked free within months. Why? Because prosecutors couldn't prove they were personally involved in a crime. Being part of a mafia, even an international one, isn't enough for a conviction in Germany. This case was a wake-up call. But not much changed. The ones who fought. Not everyone turns a blind eye. Journalists like Petra Reski and Jürgen Roth spent years tracking mafia activity in Germany, often at personal risk. Reski received threats and lawsuits from people she investigated. Roth passed away in 2017, leaving behind a library of books and warnings largely ignored by authorities. Police officers, especially in Cologne and Munich, have quietly built profiles and networks, sharing intel with Italian counterparts. Some German politicians now push for Italy-style anti-mafia laws, but they face slow resistance. Meanwhile, communities pay the price. From small towns losing their real estate to foreign mafia investors, to local businesses being pushed out by criminal capital, the cost is hidden, but real. The wall of silence. What makes the German mafia so dangerous isn't its violence. It's the silence around it. Victims don't report crimes. Businesses don't ask questions when a competitor suddenly expands. Local politicians ignore suspicious development deals. And the media? Often underfunded, overwhelmed, or cautious of lawsuits. The mafia operates not through force, but through absence. No news reports. No public trials. No scandals. That's how you build an empire. What's next? As international pressure builds, Germany is slowly waking up. New legislation is being discussed to criminalize mafia association, making it easier to prosecute syndicate members even without specific crimes. Cross-border intelligence sharing has improved. Some cities are now actively investigating real estate transactions. But the mafia is evolving too. They're moving online, investing in crypto, controlling logistics companies, buying up AI startups and digital payment systems. In a decade, they may control not just drugs and guns, but data, privacy, and infrastructure. The next war won't be fought in the streets. It'll be fought in spreadsheets and data centers. When you think of the mafia, you picture violence, fear, and intimidation. But in Germany, the Mafia wears a suit, files taxes, and owns the building you live in.
They're not coming with guns.
They already live next door.